measure of decisiveness provides to my chagrin only the need to ask again. Clench my teeth as I pretend that I've got reasons to
Today's
defend these dead
podcast is
ends.
brought to you by StrongHeartAcademy.com, where no heart is no victory. We are also brought to you by BJJ To Go. If you want to build your game and learn jiu-jitsu, go to bjjtogo.com. Third thing we're brought to you by is Rat Bat. Got rats? Want to kill bats? Kill them with a rat bat. Fourth thing we're brought to you by is hot dog flavored water ingredients. If you want to add it to your smoothie, hot dog flavor ingredient. This is the other thing. This mic is driving me crazy a little bit, figuring out how to make it work right.
Get the right angle here.
Yeah, like I don't know.
The way it feels.
I feel
kinda
better
like
of like,
comfortable.
hey, talk into the mic and like talking out here.
Way out to the side, yeah.
Yeah, just getting used to that, but we're rolling, man.
It's actually a good angle though because it's off to the side. It's not blocking the shot at all.
That's what I was trying to do too, but like one of them, I was like this, leaning into the mic the whole time talking. It
Oh
was,
no,
like,
okay, just this
uncomfortable.
awkward positioning.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it just felt uncomfortable.
right.
So we're recording.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I'm supposed to do this.
Sound check. There it is.
Slate or whatever. I'm gonna buy a slate eventually, I guess. So you're Shea, and basically anyone that's ever listened to the podcast, the like whatever 5 or 6 I have, your music is the intro and the outro, and it's you and how many other people?
It's me and 3 other people that are in that group. To be honest, I've probably been the most active as of lately.
Yeah.
I have 2 of us that rap, and then we have 1 buddy that makes beats,
Yeah.
and he exclusively makes beats. He doesn't do any vocals.
Okay.
But yeah, it's a group called the Mothmen. It's kind of a silly name, but
I like it.
it's
The
something
logo's dope.
Thank you. Yeah, my buddy Jeremy made that. He's like an exceptional artist. He actually used to rap with us in that same group as
really?
well, but he's just kind of sticking to graphic design and art at this point.
Yeah, he made the logo for me.
Oh, he did.
For
Nice.
This. I mean, I kind of helped him a little bit, but like he made it look way better.
Okay.
Yeah, he did a great job.
Yeah, he's extremely talented. He always has been. But yeah, it's something that we started, man, when I was probably 14 years old. I'd always listen to hip hop, and I've always been kind of artistic. Like I'd always emulate things. I made
Autistic or
artistic.
Okay.
Maybe a little bit of both potentially.
Hey, maybe it makes you better.
No, yeah, but so I've always kind of like emulated things. When I was a little kid, I would make little movies like Jackass kind of skits with my buddies.
Mhm.
And then I was always really interested in learning instruments. I actually didn't get into that until I was about the same time, 14, 15. I actually started actively participating in music, but it was something that I always wanted to do.
How did you meet these other guys? They were like, they were doing it on their own also? And
Yeah,
then you all
we-
just said, hey, let's just do it together? Or?
Exactly. We met in high school. So I think when I was 14, I think that was sophomore year, actually, maybe 15. But I had been doing it by myself. I just had like a really terrible computer microphone, like the really thin, long ones.
Yeah.
And I would just rap into that. And there was this website called like, I don't know, like rapstar.tv or something, not even a .com, one of the weird, obscure endings. And I would just write songs, find random beats, and record them into there. And it was all terrible. It was, I would do it in my bedroom, like completely in secret. I didn't want anybody to know about it. But
Everything is terrible when you start.
Exactly.
I mean, like, everything is terrible. Like, so many people, I think, quit on their hobbies or like their passions because they're terrible in the beginning.
right.
And it's like, well, yeah, everyone's terrible. Like at every, I mean, you do jiu-jitsu. I know you through jiu-jitsu. You train. I don't know how many
Yeah.
years you've been training with me. How many years?
Here, I think I just saw a memory from one of our first classes together, I think the other day. I think it was 6 years ago.
Jesus.
So now I've been half of my journey has been here at this gym now.
Well, your best part of your journey. But yeah, man, that's crazy.
Yeah,
That-
but
that's how I know you. And then I don't even know how I found out you rapped, and I was like, what, really?
yeah,
Shea raps? And
right. I know it's one of those things that nobody ever expects, and like I said, I almost intentionally keep it kind of low key because it just feels like so much of a private thing. I played shows
Yeah.
went early in high school, but ended up just becoming something I do kind of alone in my bedroom.
Yeah.
And like I said, I was very self-conscious when I was younger.
Oh,
I
yeah.
knew I was fully aware that I wasn't any good, but I
Yeah.
did, like you said, I did have confidence in the process. So that sounds a little over the top, but the process of improvement, that if you continue to
man.
work towards something, it's like lifting weights. If you go to the gym and you hit your
100%.
bicep curls every day, it's more unlikely that you won't get better than that you will. You know,
Oh, yeah,
you know what I mean?
For sure. People also like look for like giant leaps of getting better.
Exactly.
Instead of incremental. Like it's hard. It's like when you're a kid and you go to your grandma's house and they're like, "You're getting so big."
Yeah.
You know, and you're like, I don't.
It
you
doesn't
don't-
feel that
you don't
way.
See it. You don't
Yeah.
feel it. You know, only like if you look at old photos or something like that, do you see the like. The
Yeah, the
difference.
accumulation of the
Yeah.
small increments.
For sure.
Exactly.
And people, you know, I feel like that's the easiest way to get the confidence is be okay with the small increments. As long as you're moving forward, it doesn't matter.
100%.
Like, keep moving forward. Even if it's a crawling, you're moving forward, man. It's only when you stop that you go backwards or you just, that's the end of it. you know?
Yeah.
And people just want this, like, I don't know, they want be awesome right away.
Right.
It's that instant gratification of society that probably very American type of thing too.
Exactly.
But it's just not the way anything goes, especially not artistic endeavors, I think.
Yeah. And I grew up playing sports. Both of my parents were PE teachers.
Oh, really?
And I think that there's some sort of correlation there where the effort and results that was very clear to me.
Yeah.
Is that I knew that if I put in the effort, then there would be some sort of improvement to be had.
Yeah, I think.
Because like you said, just have to have the faith in the fact that you will improve and live for those aha moments where, although it's not a complete picture just yet, that one moment of, oh, I did this better. Well, I learned how to use this poetic device where I put, I use all the S's for every single word and it sounds really nice over the beat. Just those little moments that will keep you going and keep you motivated to continue.
Yeah, I think it's great, man. You were like, when I asked you to use it, I was like, I knew that I needed music for it. Like, you needed an intro, you needed an outro.
Right.
Just, was weird to just start going. In my opinion, I thought like things sounded weird. I needed like some kind of music. So then I was like, you know what, Shea does it, and I'll just see if he'll let me do it. I have no money, but And you were like, really? Why would you? Like, you were kind of surprised that I was at. I'm like, no, dude, I like it. I like
100%.
It's good, man.
I appreciate it. That means a lot to me because, like I said, it's just.
And then you even tried to give me like somebody else's shit. I was like, why?
Yeah.
And I listened to his, and I was like, no, man, I think I like yours better. And you're like, no, this guy's really good. And I don't know. I just thought I thought yours were better. I went through them and tried to pick. I don't know if you listened to any of the podcasts at all, but like I
listened to the one with Tony yesterday. Actually.
Oh, okay,
yeah,
cool, yeah. I thought that one went good.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll ask Tony to come back, in the future. But I do one song in the beginning and then a different song of yours at the end. So
Okay.
I don't use the same song.
Okay.
Because I just feel like the one song is a good. I just love the beat. Like it
Gets
it's a
things
cool
going, and one
outro.
kind of puts you out.
Yeah, the one gets going. Exactly that.
Mhm.
The one gets you going, and then the last one's like a good, like a send off, like
Right.
goodbye, like type of thing. I thought it works really good. And my buddy that's helped me mix all these and edit all these, Keith, he has his own podcast, the Bogcast.
Okay.
With his buddy.
I
Brian.
think I saw that you went on that.
Yeah,
once,
I went
right?
on it.
Okay.
Yeah, he has a really cool podcast. He interviews a lot of actors in the Valley.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, he does acting and directors and so it's like a cool peek into this little scene in Arizona.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. And some of those actors go in LA, and he's gone in LA and stuff too.
Okay.
But anyway, I was telling you before, he likes music too. He mixes, and he used to be in a band and all these things. And he's like, oh yeah, he likes your beat.
Oh,
every
nice.
time, it's funny because every time I watch him, he helps me edit. And mostly he's just doing it.
Right.
I'm supposed to
You're
be
just kind of
learning.
watching him.
Yeah, I'm just watching it. But
the
he's always like,
background,
as soon as that beat goes, he's like moving his head. I
Nice.
always know if someone's serious when they're moving.
Right.
Like people can go, oh yeah, I like your music. but then you see them, and
there's not a physical response to it.
Physical response to me is like you can't hide. You know what I
Right.
mean, like you can't fake it or hide it. I guess you could fake it, but when nobody's looking,
Yeah.
you know,
If you're not doing it in order to make somebody feel good about themselves, if he's just doing it while he's editing the music, you didn't make the music, so he's not trying to make you feel good.
He doesn't give a crap. No.
Yeah.
And Keith is a super honest guy. Like he wouldn't give a crap. He would be like, this sucks.
Right.
And he'd actually probably tell you that to your face. He's
Right.
very open and willing to be extremely honest, which is cool because most people aren't like that.
Right. Well, I appreciate that. That means a lot to me. Like I said, it's something I've always loved doing, and my confidence grew for a little while and kind of waned, but as of lately, I've been feeling pretty good about it. Like I said, I just feel more natural. I know that I've put time into it, and I could be better, I could be worse, but at this point, it feels like an honest expression of myself. My whole goal was just not. I think with rapping specifically, it's very easy to go wrong. I remember as a kid, like watching other people that were kind of around my age that were doing the same thing, and it would be cringeworthy because they would be saying things that were just clearly not their personality, and it would just feel like they're putting on kind of airs.
Sure, yeah.
So I'm trying to do it. I'm doing my best to try to actually be honest.
Yeah. Uh-huh. I think people appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
There's, pop music is the population. It's popular because of the larger population. And, but when you're honest, maybe less people like it.
Mm-hmm.
But I think those are the people that almost matter.
It actually means more. It would mean more to you. That's what I always grew up listening to kind of obscure hip hop that wasn't necessarily.
But like, it's a real fan. So like, when you have pop music, they go from pop to pop to pop. Like they never go back and listen to their favorite a year ago. You know what I mean? Like when you have someone that's a real fan of a band or music or whatever, they'll follow you longer.
Right.
If that makes sense.
100%.
I feel like, Katy Perry, like when was the last time that she ever made it? I don't think she's.
Yeah.
I don't really know her music, but like, I don't feel like her fans. They're on to the next
whoever's the biggest radio hit.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going back and going, oh man, I still love this kid.
Yeah.
I don't think it's that way.
Right.
And I think like when you're honest and true, you find the people that really love it and dig it, and then they follow you, and then they just follow you forever. Unless they feel like you took a turn, like
they don't like your style anymore or something.
It changes or whatever, and. But even if it changes and you're honest, like I think even people that will respect it because you're still being honest and not fake. And that's why I think a lot of people didn't know that you rap, because when you think of rappers, it's not just it's like the hip hop, I guess lifestyle, but like it's clothes, it's hair,
totally. There's so much of it is image.
Yes, not just the beats or lyrics.
Right.
You are beats and lyrics. When I look at you. I would never, ever
It's not the image of a rapper.
You dress probably the most plainest in the whole school. I would think you were like one of my Mennonite relatives because you're so plain.
Right.
You haven't had the beard.
Literally everything I wear is
everything.
just
You have
simple.
no tattoos. You have no jewelry. You don't even wear a watch. You know what I mean? Your shoes. I couldn't even tell you what kind of shoes you wear.
Walmart $7 shoes.
$7 shoes. And I think, and I don't know this, but I'm assuming that helps support your lifestyle. Of the traveling they do, which is the other thing I wanted to talk about.
Yes,
with you,
definitely.
Is the traveling that costs money, and so much of us waste money on clothes and these other things, and then they don't get the experiences that you get.
Right,
and
exactly.
I'm super envious of the traveling that you do. I would like to do more. It's just hard with the family and wife and kids.
Yeah, at this point you have a school run. You have this huge business going, and you have kids and a wife.
I mean, although
you got that Honduras trip in, which is very cool. I'm pretty jealous of.
And Belize, and I'm gonna try to go back to Belize in October. But I also have an option to maybe go to China.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
October. So I'm kind of conflicted what I want to do yet with that.
Is this jiu-jitsu related or just pleasure?
Kind of, both.
Okay.
Kyle is gonna be in China, and the guy I met at the last San Jose trip, I stayed in a house. You went to the San Jose
2 years ago.
the CTA camps and stuff. So they got a house for us and a bunch of us, and there's 2 Chinese guys in there, and the one guy spoke really good English.
Okay.
And we hung out and talked and stuff, and so he kind of invited me out, and he said,
okay.
He gave me a place. He said, I got a place to stay. So like, he gave you more confidence because I knew where I could stay.
Yeah, you're not going to be completely lost in China.
In China,
yeah,
for sure.
It's even different than like Mexico or something because characters are different. You have no context with the language. You don't even know baño or something.
No. My son is trying to learn Mandarin, and I was trying to talk to the guy, like 3 words I learned.
Right.
And he's like, I speak Cantonese. I'm like, oh well, I have no idea. It's
no answer for that one.
I don't know. I barely knew Mandarin. You know,
right.
And we were trying to use Google Translator, and the one guy didn't speak like any English.
Okay.
He was like, he showed me, and he's like, "Where is your temple?" And I was like, "Your temple?"
Right.
I'm like, "Oh, okay."
Church, probably, right?
So no, I was looking it up. I'm like, "Is there temples? Maybe there's a Buddhist temple near here in San Jose. Like maybe he's trying to find a temple." And so I found one, and I'm like, "Here it is." He's like,
"That's not at all what I was getting at." Yeah.
So finally, the other guy came home that speaks really good English, and he was like, "No, he wants to know where your gym is."
Oh, I see.
Oh, I was like, "Oh, it's in Phoenix," and I'm like, "You have no idea where that is, but
it's Phoenix, yeah."
desert. Look at Western movies; it's kind of like that,
right?
And so like that made me nervous when the first time he told me, "Hey, you want to go to China?" I was like,
it's just going to be a lot of these terrible Google translations.
I need to know how to eat, where to sleep, and where to go to the bathroom. So I gotta figure those out and how to get around.
If you have that one guy to guide you, that's a good place to start.
Yeah.
Do you know what city?
I can't remember the name.
Okay, I wouldn't even know, even if you said it. I'm just asking.
It starts with a G and it ends with a G, and there's a G in the middle. It's like Guangyang or something like that, and it's near Shanghai or Hong Kong.
Okay.
It's only like 200 kilometers away, which is not very far.
Right.
And it's crazy because it has 10 million to 14 to 15 million people in it.
Wow, no way.
Because I looked it all up, and they're like, well, estimates. We don't know because there's a lot of traveling workers in China.
Kind of shuffle in and out.
Yeah, so a lot of people don't know that like they're starting to get influx of labor from other countries, from poorer countries.
Maybe even undocumented potentially.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. A ton of,
Mm-hmm.
And but China's looking for cheap labor too, even though we see them as cheap labor, but now they're getting more affluent.
Even underneath them.
Now they need cheap labor.
Yeah.
So they have all these influence of different multinational cities, because people are coming in for work and stuff like that.
Okay, that's interesting.
So yeah, I was looking into it, so I might do that, and it was cool to just train with Kyle whenever I can train with Kyle.
Yeah, of course, take the opportunity. You can kind of kill 2 birds with 1 stone, learn good jiu-jitsu, and go somewhere you've never been before. It's always mind-blowing to me to think that there are cities like that, countless cities like that, of names I've never heard of and couldn't even pronounce, where there are 15 million people living.
That's what I'm saying.
It's like,
I was like, what?
Yeah.
And I didn't even know.
Exactly.
But that's China. They have so many cities of like 10 million people.
Yeah, I think that's like a lot of Asia, honestly, just places I'm not familiar with, but it's just this whole world that's you almost forget exists because you're kind of caught in your own American routine. But
yeah, I feel like a lot of the Asian cities, I know, like a lot of the Asian countries, they have 1 to 2 cities in the whole country, and the rest of it is rural.
Okay, I see.
Like Korea has like 2 major cities, and then that's it. Like the rest of it is all rural.
Right.
And Japan probably has a lot more,
large cities,
larger cities, but like, even Malaysia,
that's
have like
you
have a few big cities, but then a lot of it's just islands.
Just poor people,
Yeah, it's just it's spread out a little bit more, I think. But yeah, I guess even there.
But yeah, even like, I mean, China is such a huge country.
So
Same
big.
with Russia. I mean, Russia is a lot of undeveloped land too, but
there's not a lot of people in Russia. People don't realize after World War II, they didn't recover
as well. Yeah,
they lost 50 million people.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine you lost,
unbelievable.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
And then Stalin killed 50 million as well. So like
a significant percentage of the population.
There's only 350 million in America. Imagine if we lost 100 million of them.
Right.
That's
some crazy amount. Yeah, but statistically, it'd be like I'm not a math guy, but
1 out of 4.
Certain amount of people that
that's a crap load of people.
That's done.
But so what got you started traveling. Did you travel with the Mothman guys? Or
no,
friends?
actually I did. Yeah, I did do that. So what first got this was again most of the origins of some of this cool stuff was high school. I think that happens. It's kind of like that puberty hits you and you start to kind of branch out and try to be your own person. So that's where a lot of my artistic urges come from. But in my junior year of high school, I remember discovering a blog that was about a guy that walked from Maine all the way to Washington State. And it took him, I don't know how long it took him, maybe like a year. And it was just, when I saw it, I started following his vlog, and it would just be little like one-page posts like blogspot.com or something. And he would just show a photo of a couple of the places that he passed that day and some of the experiences that he had. And it fascinated me. So
yeah,
I kind of started
that
to...
fascinates me too, man.
Just the idea of travel that's more out of the ordinary, maybe more pragmatic versus paying like $5,000 to go stay somewhere for 4 nights.
Oh, yeah.
This guy was gone for a year and was just camping outside and eating beans and stuff. Like, he could go for as long as he wants, pretty much. But so that forced me to start looking into alternative methods of travel, and somehow in this rabbit hole, I discovered the idea of freight hopping, which is actually what I started with. So it's just
like illegal
freight hopping. So just sneaking into yards.
Like
if
hobos.
You're in Phoenix,
like
Van Buren,
30s hobos.
3rd Street, exactly, like 30s hobos. I think Van Buren, I think it's 3rd Street, somewhere downtown next to the Chase Field. If it's still called the Chase Field, it's called.
No, I know
something
exactly where there's a train yard there.
Yeah, exactly. So what we did, this was right after I graduated high school. I convinced one friend who was in the Mothman that this would be a cool idea, that we should do this.
That is definitely a high school.
Yeah, 100%. This is just
no
like
fear, like we won't fall off the train and die or get stabbed by another hobo.
And virtually no plans, like outside of we're just gonna get on this train and we're gonna go as far as we can and just like do whatever, like just travel. I don't know. We just had this like this vague idea we were gonna travel and leave. You know, we didn't know what the details necessarily were.
That's crazy.
But that's kind of the fun of it, is that the experience reveals itself as you get deeper into it.
I think you get to see what you're made out of too. Like you know, like, hey, we have no money. What do we do?
Exactly.
And like you gotta problem solve. You know, and when you're younger, for sure, you have more confidence and you have less to lose too. You know, and there's nothing to lose. Oh well.
Totally, yeah. Like I have no kids. I have such little money. Even if I lose it, what does it matter?
You can call, collect, and hopefully someone will send you some money.
I have parents,
a bus back maybe or something.
Yeah. Know? And when I did it, this was very much like I was vacationing almost. Many of the people that I actually met while traveling like this were some of them were choosing to do it, but a lot of them, it was actually probably some sort of drug addiction or mental illness. But it was just me. We're just 18-year-old, fresh-faced, green kids, like just kind of wandering around, seeing what we could see. And like I said, as a young kid, I think that this was more exciting to me because I had never seen a lot of these cities and places where now I still hitchhike sometimes. Like I maybe have some plans coming up for a trip soon, but it was much more exciting when this is the first time I've ever been to like a real city, a city where the population is dense and there's tall buildings and you walk around and there's 5 delis and there's 6 smoke shops and there's like, you know, just this bustle and hustle and bustle of people that doesn't really exist where I grew up, which is suburban Phoenix. There's a little bit of it downtown, but ultimately the city is just suburbs, just connected to each other. So we started with the freight hopping.
How far did you make it?
So the freight hopping didn't work out quite as well as planned. So we did a test run. This was right after I graduated high school. I was 18 years old. My buddy was a year older than me, so he was 19. And we were going to do a week before we leave, we were going to do a test run just to like kind of get a feel for this. So we went down we had friends that drop us off at the freight yard. This one went flawlessly. We found a train that was on, and to the best of our assessment, we just saw that it was kind of like shaking and moving, and we went into what is called a hopper, which is one of the freight cars that has a ladder going up, and it's just an open top, so it's not a box car, which is what you would traditionally see like hobos hopping in. It was one you had to climb up this ladder and jump inside, and so usually they'll put like coal or some sort of material inside and just fill it up.
I would 100% be worried that
they're going to fill this.
And then all of a sudden you're going to see just crap going down and I can't get out of this thing.
Yeah.
Buried alive.
That for sure crossed my mind, but we were going to risk it. I actually bought this book that was a guide to freight hopping. So this was like one of his suggested cars. This is a safe car. And one of the reasons actually is because a worker would have to climb inside to see you.
Oh, okay.
So versus a box car, they could just kind of turn their head and peek in. So we did that. So we jumped into this car, and we waited maybe 2 hours probably. So it was still quite a long wait, but it got moving, and it took us all the way to Tucson. It was a very like interesting kind of windy path. The train is filthy and it's incredibly loud, so you can barely hear each other talk. And the second you sit down, you come up, there's just black muck or something all over you. Yeah, but it was cool because we were able to pop our heads up and look, and you kind of see a perspective of the city that I'd never seen before. Because I was going through neighborhoods really far south that I wasn't familiar with, and it was just carving through roads that I would never have seen if it wasn't on the train. And this went took us all night probably to get there. I think we got in maybe around 5 o'clock in the morning, and we hopped out. The train stopped, and we decided, okay, we made it. Let's get out of here. So we hopped out maybe 6 or 7 miles from the city. So we just walked from.
The train stopped?
The train stopped. Yeah, they were waiting to pull it in or something, and we just decided, we're in Tucson. Let's get out, and we'll walk the rest of the way.
Yeah.
It was only 6 miles. We went and ate a big Waffle House meal, and then took a shuttle back home. And that was like the test run. Now, a week later, we're ready for the big trip where we're actually going to be gone for a couple months is our plan or something like that.
But you don't know where the train's going to go.
So this first time we didn't care. We said wherever it goes, it's going to go. The second time we have a vague plan. So we want to go north. We want to go to the California and go up the coast. We're just basically up the West Coast. So we get dropped off again late at night, and we start waiting for our train and try to do the same process, find one that looks like it's going to leave, and we're going to jump in. And there's only 2 directions the trains can go. So either it's going to Tucson or it's going to Flagstaff. And we get into 2 or 3 of them, and every single one starts going to Tucson, and we don't want to go to Tucson, so we jump out. And we end up...
While it's moving?
While it's moving. It's going very slow. So we know exactly where it's going right away. So it's
just
like a couple miles an hour.
South, so you're like, okay, it's going south.
This is the wrong direction. Okay. Yeah, so we tried that for a day and a half, and that continuously happened until we got to a point where advice from the book that I had mentioned earlier said that you could, if you were a little bit risky, you could ask the workers, and they'll tell you like the schedules, and you could find out where the trains are going and when. So we asked somebody, and he told us that there wasn't a train going to Flagstaff for 2 more days, I think. So we ended up like sleeping in an alley in Van Buren.
Oh my gosh, and then, that's an experience by itself,
yeah,
bro.
Totally.
By itself.
Yeah, just the first night out, we're like 30 minutes from home, and we're just like curled up in this like dirty alley. It's a street definitely known for like prostitution and stuff.
Good times. What time of year was this?
This was summer, so it was a little warm. It was it was the beginning of June, so like a little warm.
Man, it's at least 100 degrees, and that night at least 90 degrees.
Right. So from there, we just decide, okay, like this is not going to work out. We don't want to go home just yet. We're going to try hitchhiking. So as that was like another potential option for alternative travel. So
to get up
north. So we made our way to the edge of the city, which when you're hitchhiking, not that necessarily nobody's going to do this. You want to get to the edges. If you're in a big metropolitan area, you want to get to the edge because most of the traffic inside is going from one stop to the next. And you're more likely to be labeled as a drug addict or just a homeless person versus if you're kind of in the middle of nowhere, more in the outskirts, people realize that you're a traveler. So we made it out there, and things were not going well. This was still pretty rough start. We started hitching, and it took us 4 hours in the middle of the day standing out on the side of the road to get one ride.
And again, it's 100.
It's 115. But I don't know what it is at the beginning of June, something like that.
Do you have a big pack?
Big packs, and so stupid. We bought like basically steel-toed boots. So it's just like these giant, not worn-in boots, brand new, just cutting into us, and like huge, heavy steps. It was miserable. And it took us. So this one ride that we waited 4 hours for took us maybe 5 miles. So it's an incredibly discouraging experience. We get out at
basically still on I-17.
We're basically still on I-17. We're still in Phoenix. It's been almost 2 days, and we haven't even made any progress. But again, I'm 18. I've got this idea. I told everybody I'm gonna go across the country, hopping freight trains. Like I'm not gonna give in. I'm not giving up right now. This isn't over. So we get out, and this is where our luck starts to change, and this becomes like a much happier story, I would say. We're getting into this gas station, and we see 2 gypsies. And when I say gypsies, I mean like French. One's French Canadian. Gypsies, they haven't bathed for days. They're covered in emeralds and stones and stuff. They're both white, but they both have dreads. which is like a staple of the traveler community.
Yeah.
We walk past them. They have a little dog, and they ask us if we have like some weed or something. And I'm like, no, we don't. Like, sorry, man. Like, we're just trying to like get from one place to the next. And they start talking to us, and they end up being quite friendly. Well, I'll say they were still talking to us, and maybe only for a few minutes until they asked us if we want to try to hitch a ride together. And they told us that they were coming from Guatemala. So they started in Guatemala and hitched all the way through Mexico, and their goal was to get to Canada.
Wow.
And so we say, like, okay, we don't really know what we're doing. You guys clearly know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Why not? Let's go for it.
I mean, look, if they made it from Guatemala, didn't die.
Exactly.
Just in the country of Guatemala. We're not even talking about Mexico.
Yeah.
You didn't die, and then because I know the border of Guatemala and Mexico doesn't like them crossing into Mexico.
No, I don't think so.
That's perilous.
The fact that you made it through there.
For sure. Then you made it through Mexico.
Yeah.
Fine. And
Tons
then
of dangerous states on that way. Yeah.
Yes. And then somehow you made it across the border in the United States too.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how you even do that because that's real tricky.
Exactly. So this was very impressive to me.
Yeah,
they were doing what we were trying to do.
Yeah,
they're
pros.
Yeah, exactly. So we say, okay, let's go. We walk onto the on-ramp. So they taught us this the first time we were hitching. We were in the middle of the highway. We walked down the on-ramp onto the actual freeway. Mm-hmm. They say, no, you just go to the on-ramp because people are going slow and they can pull over. So we get to this on-ramp.
That makes sense.
Yeah, which makes way more sense than what we were doing. It's ridiculous to ask people to stop when they're going 80 miles an hour. Like, it makes no sense. But I was stupid. I was 18. Never done this before. But
again, incremental learning.
Exactly.
You're learning a little bit how to do this.
Precisely. So this is how it worked. So before we even sit down on the on-ramp, a trucker pulls over and picks up all four of us plus the dog and takes us 6 hours to Barstow, California. So it was like we struggled for 2 days. We're trying so hard. This isn't working out.
That's a nice
and
guy.
then we meet these like, to me, it's almost kind of like it feels like it's reminiscent of like the hero's journey where you kind of have like some sort of like almost a wise man or some sort of person at the beginning that kind of gives you direction and gives you the tools you need to continue. So we meet these people and they kind of show us the ropes and we get this wonderful ride immediately. Just takes us away from the desert. So we get taken into Barstow's still desert, but takes us 6 hours all the way to California. And throughout this time, we're getting to know the gypsies. We're getting to know all the coast.
You're getting closer.
So we're getting closer. So that's good. That we're stoked. We're so stoked. And throughout this drive, I just become more and more impressed by these gypsies. Is they're teethless, they're dirty, but this guy speaks French, Spanish, and English. The truck driver doesn't speak any English, so they just immediately start speaking Spanish, and I'm just like, man, how?
The truck driver doesn't speak English?
No, it was just like a Mexican truck driver, and he owned his own truck. So, which is what you want when you get truck drivers. Most of the guys that have the headphones and stuff, they won't pick up hitchhikers because it's against the policy. But this guy was like, oh, I don't care. I'll just pull over and take these 5 people.
It's common in Mexico too, like to pick up hitchhikers.
Totally.
Just courtesy, like, hey, you need a ride? I got a ride. And I noticed that in Honduras, like people are way more willing to pick up people, and Belize too. Like, we picked up when I was in Belize, we picked up some dude on the side of the road.
Right. It's just a common form of travel.
It was funny because he was holding like a carburetor.
Oh, okay.
And then he needed a ride like a couple miles down the road, and you need a ride? Yeah. And he gets in holding his carburetor. And dropped him off.
What's the big deal? Yeah.
Uh-oh.
A phone call.
Hold on.
No problem.
I got to turn that off.
That's okay.
Oops.
I'm not a professional podcast guest, so
yeah, I'm just we'll cut that and go technical difficulties or something.
That's easily fixed, I think.
I don't know, maybe.
I think so. But yeah, so this guy, we get to know these people a little bit more and how they'd been traveling through Europe also.
Were they like a couple?
So they told us they were just friends. It was a woman and a man. But they told us they were just friends, as far as I knew. I didn't push them or ask them about that, but they'd been together for like a while.
Then whose dog is it?
It's the girls.
Okay.
I totally forget the dog's name, but it was a good dog.
Because that's kind of the indication, like, is it our dog?
Yeah, no, it was one person's dog.
Okay, so then that's still strange.
I think that they were actually just traveling together.
That's very strange, but
so that was awesome. We get to Barstow and we end up camping with them. We make a little fire outside of like the gas station, and they buy spaghetti and wine. And I was only 18, so I couldn't. So this was like extra exciting. We're eating spaghetti by the fire and drinking wine.
Yeah,
it's like it was awesome. And then the next day we part ways and we kind of go on separate journeys.
Where did you camp at? Like, where did you find a place?
No, so this is all the whole time when I'm doing this traveling, we don't find like camping spots necessarily, but
I didn't mean like a designated camping spot, but like Barstow, were you still in the city, or did you kind of like go off to like a desert area?
We got dropped off at a more or less a truck stop. So
Okay.
there was just this big desert patch that was behind the gas station, and it was undeveloped. No one was gonna say anything.
Nobody's gonna care. Yeah,
exactly.
That's cool. Okay.
Yeah. So
I was just curious at how.
Of course, yeah, how that
we
works.
We just did it in the parking lot. I don't
yeah, just in the trash can or something. No, yeah, it was just a patch of desert. That was it.
Nice.
So we had a wonderful night. We like said goodbye to them. We were grateful. They kind of showed us some of the ropes, and we went on our journey. We ended up.
Were you ever worried that they were gonna try to roll you or try to like?
I was not at the time. I'll say like I was 18.
So
I was pretty naive. I was just trusting.
I wouldn't be able to sleep with them.
Yeah.
Because I would think that in the middle of the night I'm gonna get jacked.
Okay, I will say that crossed my mind, but I just kind of like, all right, I'm trusting.
Like I would be sleeping with a knife.
Yeah, I just decided that I'm trusting these people. That totally crossed my mind, and I have slept like that before for sure. But
do you bring any weapons with you?
Just a knife. Yeah, I don't. One of the times I brought some mace, but
how big of a knife?
I would say I started with one about there.
Okay.
And then on the second journey, I traded a man for a much larger one, and that's the one that I bring. That's the one that I bring with me.
Nice.
That's a story in and of itself. He's an interesting guy, but but yeah. So this was just the first trip, and we ended up making it all the way to Seattle. There was definitely hiccups and bumps along the way, but all in all, it was a good time. I'll say that a lot of it depends upon your perspective. So there's going to be a lot of conventionally negative experiences, like we're sleeping in the rain, we're stuck sitting at this gas station for hours, but it's me and my best friend, and we're just having a good time hanging out and kind of enjoying the moment. I would say we're just there.
No responsibility.
Exactly, and we're basically just open to whatever the experience has to give us. So whatever happens is a positive to us. Like if it's bad, then we just joke about it afterwards, and we get humor out of the negative stuff because it's just so silly how bad it was.
For sure.
It's like laughable.
Hindsight is always like, it's easy to remember things fondly after the fact.
100%.
Also, like in the time standing on the side of the road when it's 110 degrees, you're like, this fucking sucks.
Yes.
And we are failing right now.
Yes.
But like by the time you're on the road to Barstow, you're like, well, this cool, worked out, you know. Like,
it's worth it, yeah. When you're standing next to the ocean and there's beautiful breeze, it's like, okay, this is what the struggle was for.
I think you need to, like you said, it's your personality probably dictates how you perceive the situation.
Yes.
But also, again, with time, crazy stories are always like some of the best stories.
Exactly,
you know what I mean? Like my wedding, I had a crazy wedding. Like some crazy stuff happened. My best man got wasted and gave this crazy speech and everything.
Oh no.
And the DJ like screwed up and wouldn't play music, and this drunk dude was paying the DJ to play his own music, and but in the end, like, those are funny stories.
Right.
Nobody gives a crap about your perfect wedding or whatever. Like,
yeah.
You know, like, oh, we had a perfect wedding and doves flew, and like, who cares?
Right.
It's always the cool,
sometimes
crazy,
it's better
stories.
when it's because it's yours. It's not some picture perfect like made up version of a wedding. It's just it's a real wedding.
You might be like, oh no, but like with hindsight, with time, you're like, oh, that was kind of funny. That was a good experience. Like, you learned something out of it, and I think it's cool that you guys were just open to whatever is happening.
Yeah, no, it was fun. I would say that it helped me grow as a person in a lot of ways. It forces you to become friends with strangers. So as a young kid, I mean, I was in jiu-jitsu gym when I was young, so I kind of got the benefit of being able to talk to strangers, to adults.
Yeah.
But this took it up to another notch, because now I'm hanging out with whoever picks us up, which could be a lawyer. We had one guy that was like owned an insurance company, to people that just live out of their car. So I was able to become friends with everybody and try to connect with everybody like kind of easily.
Quicker,
it was a skill set that I think I actually highly value, and I get a lot of joy out of it too, because if I can have a good conversation with them, I'm enjoying myself. It doesn't matter where they come from or if they're different than me.
Yeah. It gives you perspective.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know, on other people outside your little bubble.
Yeah.
You know, like you said, you grew up in suburban Phoenix, and you know, you meet a certain type of person in that little area.
Right.
No matter where you go in that little area, people are fairly similar.
Exactly.
You know, and then you go out and you get to go to different states or different walks of life. Jiu-jitsu does this too. Like, there's so many people I've said that I've met in jiu-jitsu that I would have never met
otherwise.
Like, I would never talk to lawyers or doctors.
Yeah.
I'm just, look at me. I don't dress. I'm not in the same. We're not even going to the same restaurant.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Like,
yeah, I'm on the same page.
We're not even on the same. We're not on the same level. But jiu-jitsu, the commonality is that we're all doing jiu-jitsu, so that when you're sitting on, and we're all wearing gis.
Right.
So like we're not wearing Armani shoes.
Yeah, you don't have the artificial separation.
Yeah, there's nothing. We're very similar in the same in that respect, and the only thing that matters on the mat is who can beat who.
Is how good you are. Yeah.
The rest doesn't matter.
Everyone's
bro.
in the same. Everyone's in the same pursuit. They're trying to do the same thing. Is that community?
So I feel like jiu-jitsu's helped me be able to talk to different walks of life.
Totally.
That are nothing like me, like in any facet at all. Like even like super liberal, super conservative. Like it doesn't matter.
Totally.
Like So I think that's cool that you were able to learn that just by traveling.
Yeah, it's something I'm grateful for.
I think traveling does that to you, and especially other countries, like traveling other countries. So you've hitchhiked a few times, right?
Yeah, I think four trips in total. I will say, just to end that last trip, so the one nice finishing detail is that at the very end of the journey, we ended up going to this thing called the Rainbow Gathering, which is essentially a poor man's Burning Man. It's been going on since the 70s.
Oh, wow.
No money allowed. They announce the location like a month or two before it starts, and people from all over the country, like vagabonds, like hippie, like real hippies, like 70s hippies, and vagabonds, like people flock to this one location. This is in Washington, so it was on our way on this first trip. Like, oh, okay, everyone's telling us to go. We're going to go check it out. While at this festival, we were there for one day. There's 20,000 people there. We run into the same two gypsies. And we get to kind of have that, like, oh, what's up, guys? Like, awesome. Yeah, it was a really cool, like, kind of synchronicity where we got to see our mentors at the very finish, and they got to see that we actually
that is like a
implement. That's what I'm saying.
A hero's journey. They're like the proud professor or whatever. Yeah, at the end, that the pupils made it to the end.
Exactly.
That's awesome.
So that was. I just wanted to finish that up because I thought that was a nice point on that first trip. It was very.
Oh, that's
the
so
arc
cool.
of the story was very nice.
Were you prepared for like the rain and the cold also?
No, not at all.
Not even a poncho?
No. Okay, so
plastic bag, trash bags.
None of the above.
Oh my gosh, bro.
Yeah, we just had to get stuff along the way. That, like I said, that first trip was hard. Like we went on 3 more trips after that, and my buddy's younger brother started coming with us. So it was not just two of us. And me and my buddy were joking the whole time, as you guys are so lucky because you don't understand how difficult it was on the first trip carrying these 15-pound boots with sores all over our feet. And I had a little travel pillow, and I had like a thin blanket, and I had a cut-off yoga mat. And that was everything I had. And we were sleeping in the rain. We were getting rained on. It was uncomfortable. It was difficult, but because
like rash, like how do you even dry out?
It was rough. It was
just
rough.
Get in your chonies and hang it somewhere.
We just hung it up somewhere. We maybe did laundry a couple of times at laundromats randomly, but yeah. So we did. So anyways, we did 3 more hitchhiking trips consecutively. We got more friends. Mostly it was my buddy's younger brothers that came with us. The second to last trip, there were 6 of us in total.
That's a lot to travel.
The easiest trip.
Oh, really?
The most fun I've ever had. Like one of the best experiences I've ever had. But we would split up into groups. So there'd be 2 of us or 3 of us hitchhiking at a time, and we're going the same path. So we're 2 hours from San Francisco. We'll see you in San Francisco, and maybe we camp out. We camp separately for a couple nights, and then we all meet up at the same place, and we just party. And because there was such a big group of us, and we were all fresh-faced, it was my buddy's younger brothers. So as we were getting older and getting beards, we still had these like young kids, that we could kind of put in the front, and they're waving and smiling to the cars. Yeah. They're like our bait, basically.
They don't look dangerous at all.
Yeah, exactly. So it was just a party the whole way. It was just a big vacation. People were inviting us to their houses. We were like in Santa Cruz. I like talked to some girl on the bus, and she like invited us back to her house to like party. So we had like a college party in Santa Cruz.
Oh my gosh,
it was
awesome.
Dope. It was awesome.
That's so awesome.
Yeah,
Did you spit bars at her?
I don't think so. No, I don't think so.
Bro, if I had your skills,
could have.
100%.
Yeah. No, but so that's the hitchhiking. The last one, it was the 3 of us, and we've pretty much done the whole country now. There's a few states I'm missing, but we've done the East Coast, the West Coast, the Midwest.
That's awesome.
All that.
Where do you think? What area is the What do you like the best, or is it all just different?
I would. So I really like Northern California is really pretty, and actually the East Coast. Well, I would say this last trip I saw some of the most beautiful territory. I'm just gonna give a couple highlights. Savannah, Georgia is probably the prettiest city I've ever been to in my life.
Really?
Oh man, it's picturesque. It's gorgeous.
It's blowing up. Georgia is like Atlanta is like crazy.
Huge, yeah. But yeah. So Savannah is really nice, and then the New England territory. I've always loved the forest. So I love the woods up there, like Vermont. Like that is just unbelievable. It's just picturesque.
I said to my mom, my wife, that's a Freudian slip.
Whoops.
My wife wants to go up to New England area.
Okay.
And I was like, it's okay. You know, for me, it's like, the East Coast, I don't like the vibe.
Not as appealing,
it's the vibe, I think, more than anything. Like,
the people are more intense.
They're just, just shorter.
Yes.
And everything's like it's getting done faster, and everyone's in a hurry everywhere.
Yes.
And it's like, Arizona's like a big giant city now at this point. Phoenix is huge, and it's not like people aren't in a hurry here, but there it's like even more.
Yeah.
And like they just seem more uptight too, like even the way they dress.
Yes.
You know, like
totally. Yeah.
And I know people that worked in like offices back east or had to like maybe go business trips back east, and they're like, man, you have to wear a tie. Everything is like just
much more formal versus West Coast is all hippies.
Even going to restaurants, like they expect you to be more formal to go to restaurants. Like even the fancy restaurants here, I could show up in like shorts.
They're not
going to
turn you away.
They don't give a crap. Like you got money? Oh, okay.
Right.
Are you don't be rowdy and be courteous and we're fine. But
definitely.
Back there, it just seems like there's all these like layers, and it's against my like soul, bro.
Right?
Like
you're a West Coast kind of guy.
I think or whatever. I don't know.
I totally understand that, and I think there's for sure truth to that. Some of those larger cities that are so dense, there's just so many people.
All my buddies
I think
from
you
the
get
East Coast
you kind of get sick of it. Yeah, probably.
They're all pissed.
You kind of have this filter where you can just kind of tune people out a little more easily because there's so many
people.
You're overwhelmed, you're almost overstimulated by people.
Yeah.
But I will say that the there isn't as much of it, but the forests and out there is quite beautiful because it's a little bit distinct. It's I think maybe I don't know if the species are different or something, but just the layout. It's more rolling hills. It's not as large and rocky like the mountains, like the West Coast is.
Yeah, I have relatives in Pennsylvania, and they're really rural Pennsylvania.
Okay.
Some of them are closer to New York, and my dad's from a very tiny town up there, and I think it's gorgeous. Like
yes,
and when you're traveling in Pennsylvania, it's like it's so old. Also, it's like one of the first 13 colonies. So all these tiny towns, and each town has like the old school like church steeple and like the little gas pump and then like the little downtown and there's like a billion of these little towns in Pennsylvania, and you're going like 60 down the highway and then they make you slow down to like 30 miles an hour to go through this little town, and then it's just forest of nothing, and then or maybe like cornfields or something, and then you go boom, a little town
pop back into another little one.
And then Arizona's I'm so used to, like you're saying before, suburban sprawl, just everything's smashed together. You can go from the North Phoenix to Gilbert, or even Queen Creek now, and it's just nothing.
And you don't even realize you're changing towns or anything. I like that about kind of like some of the small town Americas. You get these little pockets of kind of preserved American culture where and that is one of the benefits of the East Coast. It's just history. Like even in Philly, Philly's a huge city, but we got to check out some of the historic spots in Philly. Like there's a little neighborhood that's like colonial, like it's still cobblestones, and there's like only two people can walk down the street at one time. It's just fun to see that kind of stuff.
I haven't got to experience that, so maybe I just gotta go. I gotta go back.
Yeah, and those are places. I mean, you don't have to go for too long. You could go for a couple of days and check out what there is to see.
Those are good family. That for me, that would be a good family trip.
I think so.
Like,
that makes sense.
My boys, or at least my oldest one, would enjoy the history stuff.
Totally, yeah.
And my wife would too. What's the coolest country, or how many countries have you been to?
I haven't. My international, my international resume isn't so long. I'm gonna be working on that this year. I'm kind of planning on a few extra trips, but I've been to I think 5 countries. So let's see. I've been to Canada. I've been to Mexico. I've been to Brazil. I've been to Argentina, and I've been to Colombia.
Oh, I forgot you went to Brazil.
Yeah, yeah.
And I haven't been to Brazil. That's lame.
Brazil is super cool. Yeah, I feel like that was just the, I mean, the bucket list as a jiu-jitsu practitioner. I just had to go.
Yeah, I feel I have failed not going to Brazil.
There's still plenty of time. I mean, I don't think you failed necessarily. You're pretty killer black belt. You got his own gym here.
Up to this point, but like, just feel like to pay homage.
I see what you mean. Yeah.
And probably Japan too, because Japan predates Brazil as far as what
that's where it actually comes from.
Yeah. And if you look at even old judo, and like what the Gracies say they invented, and like you're like,
this is kind of just judo.
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, just refined.
Judo used to have newaza, what they call newaza, more ground game, and they flipped it. So like when they got to the Olympics, they got rid of most of the ground stuff, and as much as they don't practice it as much, it's still around. But and I definitely jiu-jitsu refined the ground.
Of course, yeah.
Added a ton of stuff, but even like triangles.
That was I saw
judo.
the Danaher podcast about how like in the 40s in Japan is I think when the triangle was created.
Yeah, I mean you can look. I have an old book. My dog ate it, but I still kind of have it. It's an old judo book from like the 40s or something.
Okay.
Maybe even 30s, and it has all these old jiu-jitsu
submissions and stuff. Yeah,
it's all submissions. Like no throws in the book at all. It's
wow, that's interesting. Okay,
just newaza,
straight ground.
Yeah, and it's like how many things that I didn't realize are that they've been doing this for
a long
100
time.
years, man.
Yeah,
So,
maybe just different training methods in Brazil, but
yeah, I mean I think they,
like you said, focus on the ground game versus
they focus on the ground game, but they also just they invented tournaments and they invented the point system and they invented and then they fought.
Actually fought.
Fought.
They actually like threw down for the sport.
Vale tudo and all that kind of stuff. And,
3-hour-long fights.
I'm not taking away from Brazil at all. I'm just saying like both would be cool.
Of course.
See,
Yeah, I always thought that's actually when the training at the Kodokan I thought would be cool. The original judo school.
And I know people have trained there.
Okay.
And my old judo instructor, he lived at the Kodokan.
Whoa.
For like 5 years.
That's awesome.
It was funny. These white guys are speaking fluent
Perfect
Japanese.
Japanese.
Yeah. And it was funny because when I tried to train with them, I said, I'm here, I want to be respectful. I want a white belt. At the time I was a brown belt in judo or jiu-jitsu, and I'm like, I'm here to learn throws. Like I'm not trying to show anyone off anything.
I'm here to study.
All they wanted to do is newaza. All they wanted to do is wrestle me.
Oh no!
And
okay.
Like destroyed all.
Right.
all the black belts, everything, and not even close.
Wow. Okay.
And they thought in their minds that like judo's we can. I'm like, nah, man.
Not when it comes to this. Not when it comes to the ground. Yeah.
This is all I do. I'm here to learn stand up because my stand-up is weak.
Yeah.
I had all wrestling background.
Right.
So I didn't have the judo throws. I wanted legit judo throws. I'm like, I already feel comfortable wrestling. I want like good throws.
Did you ever get to a point where they kind of were able to give up on the ground and allowed you to really work the stand-up in the way that you wanted?
Oh, so I should take that back. So every class was just throws.
Okay.
But after class, they would do more. You want to do more sparring?
Oh, I see.
And every single one of them
just turns
would
into
come
a
up to
jiu-jitsu
me.
match.
They're like, "Hey, you wanna?" And they were all trying to kill me, because
okay.
they wanted to prove that. Anytime you go to another school, they always want to prove that they're, like we're good too.
Of course, I understand that.
It's a weird subconscious thing. I don't feel like it's malicious. They just want to prove that that they didn't waste their time for like the last 30 years.
Of course.
And some of these guys, were older guys. The black belts were older guys. So I was in my 20s, I think at the time. I was in my 20s at the time, so I was younger.
Yeah.
But they were all bigger than me.
Okay.
And probably stronger. But I just had better.
Yeah. What if you don't? It's just one of those things. If you don't know, you don't know.
Yeah.
Like.
And so they gave me a brown belt pretty quickly.
In judo, really?
Judo,
wow,
yeah.
Okay.
And I never thought...
How long would you say?
Like a year.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
But they say you can get a black belt in like 3 years.
Oh, so it's not as difficult as jiu-jitsu, maybe?
Yeah, black belt's not as big of a deal in judo. They go like first dan, second dan. All they call it dans. Degrees of black belt. That gets
black belt's just like the basics, basically, right?
Yeah,
it's like,
I think the judo black belt is good, you
right?
know, and they can throw good. I think I was like so.
Okay.
I had like 3 to 4 throws that I was decent at.
Okay.
Out of like the 60 something throws.
Right.
And it was cool because they always only spoke Japanese too during class. They were like strict.
That's kind of fun.
We're only speaking Japanese, and I was so terrible. I started to understand it, but I couldn't speak it.
Right.
It was very hard for me to pronounce the word. I barely speak English.
Right.
So it's such a different way of of
communicating. Yeah.
I'm used to Spanish. Like, there's no rolling R's, but it's like not guttural. I don't know how to explain it, but it's such a different language.
Just different phonetics.
Yeah, it was different
shorter.
For me. So like they always counted in Japanese, and all the words, and they were always like everything was in Japanese.
And even the technique, the explanation of the technique, nobody translated for you. You just kind of had to just
go
visually.
They would kind of help it out.
Okay.
They would talk to me like this is this, but then they would go back when
to
they teach
Japanese
for the whole class. It's only in Japanese.
Right. They were just helping you out specifically, but this is catered to Japanese speaking.
Yeah, and there were some younger teenagers in there too, and they would help them too. But they wanted to preserve the Japanese, and that's kind of cool.
I think that's
judo.
pretty cool. Yeah,
really
it would be
cool.
fun. It makes the experience almost a little more unique.
That's one thing I think jiu-jitsu and wrestling lack is, and Danaher talks about that too, is everything has a specific name and only one name.
Mm-hmm.
Judo, they never change the names.
Right.
There's in wrestling in the Midwest, one move might be called one thing, and then in Pennsylvania, which is also a mecca of wrestling, might be called something different.
But
in
it's
the
the same
West
move.
Coast, it's the same move, but they
Okay.
have different names,
Yeah.
And jiu-jitsu kind of has that.
There's some of that,
a little bit of that too, but the Kodokan has a strict thing, and
This
they have
is it.
only strict techniques too. Only certain things are allowed in here. If you invent something new, it's nothing.
That's not gonna fly. Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah,
okay.
they don't even allow it in.
Yeah, they're kind of locking themselves into the tradition.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Which there's pros and cons to that. You
There's-
preserve the culture.
Yeah, there's pros also that you just get really good at the few things. When you have
Totally.
less to get good at, it's easier.
Totally.
But yeah, for sure. And a lot of people in judo will come up with variations of things.
Mhm.
So it's still like a Tayatoshi, but it's like this
Different
vari-
grip or different setup or something.
Yeah. And the philosophy in judo I always like too is like gripping first, and then you place yourself in the position, and then you remove their balance, then the throw. So there's 4 parts of every throw.
Right.
And that's never really talked about in jiu-jitsu. Like even with sweeps to me are the same as a throw. You're just on the ground.
Just different bases.
Yeah, so you have to grip someone to sweep them. You just have to place yourself in usually a guard, depending on what kind of guard it is, and then remove their ability to balance, and then apply the sweep.
Right.
It's the same thing, but to them, Kazushi is everything. Like, if you break balance, then you don't have to physically force someone over.
Right.
Like manhandling.
They're falling over you,
Yeah.
basically, if you're
When
in the
you-
right time and place.
Yeah, when I wrestled, everything was about manhandling and blast through them.
Mhm.
Like, if it doesn't work, just go harder.
Yeah. Same technique, just more strength.
More strength, man. Just power
Faster.
through. Bro, you need to do more deadlifts.
Yeah.
You need more deadlifts. So, I don't know. And judo, my first judo instructor was Romanian, and he was a power lifter.
Oh, wow.
He was a crazy man.
I'm always afraid of some of those like Middle Eastern judo guys. I'm
Yeah.
like, those guys I know are killers. Like,
He was friggin'
or not Middle
intense.
Eastern, Eastern Bloc,
He was
European,
Eastern Bloc.
European.
So
yeah.
he grew up. So quick story. He grew up. We're like way off topic here, but he grew up in Romania when it was Russian, roamed by the USSR.
Oh, man.
And he snuck into West Germany. He got into West Germany, and he was so good at judo. He was teaching on the German national team.
Whoa.
And he
wow.
was getting paid to be on the German national team and teaching. But he was telling me, like, when he would throw, his goal was to break your collarbone.
Wow.
He's like,
Okay.
well, if I break your collarbone, then you lose. I win, and then I go on to the next round, and I never have to see you again for the season.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah.
Trying to put you down and out for the count.
Yeah, and I learned almost nothing from the guy.
Really?
And I trained with him.
Just beating you up the whole time?
Yep. He just wanted to practice on me, and then we would do like 40 minutes of drop falls.
Wow.
Just falls. Forward fall, back fall, side fall.
Oh my gosh.
And then he would do this weird thing that I've never trained with anyone else, where we would be training really intense.
Yeah.
Then he would just walk like we're walking through a park. And you and me would stand side by side, literally like we're walking through a park, and we'd walk around the mat, and he would just talk about whatever.
Whoa, really?
And like it would be like this break. from training, and we would only walk for like 2 minutes.
Okay.
And he would like take your mind completely off what we were doing.
This is just
And then we'd go back and then just intense training.
Okay.
And then we would do this walk thing again.
Interesting.
It was the
I
weirdest.
think there's probably some merit to that because I think if you get your brain an opportunity to kind of step away from the process and then revisit it, it's a way to ingrain it into yourself deeper. They say you have to learn. I have no idea if this is true, but there's the phrase you have to learn something 7 times before it really sticks. That was, I don't know where the number came from, but continuously reintroducing yourself to the information, I think, is a good way to
maybe,
exactly.
Fresh every time. I don't know. He never explained. I'm sure there was definitely a meaning, a reason for it. And then he was funny because he came to a couple of my jiu-jitsu tournaments and he's like, I don't understand this. Why do they do that? You know, like I'm like, this is how jiu-jitsu works. Like you only get 2 points if you throw someone.
It's not the be all end all.
Yeah. You throw someone hard with force. It's Ippon, 1 point, you win the match.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
Sometimes matches last like 10 seconds.
Right.
You know, like just boom, done.
Over.
You know, I'm like, no, man, like this is going to be a minimum of, 7. I think it was a purple belt when I was training with him. That was my first judo guy. I'm like, he's a minimum of 7 minutes,
Right.
If I don't submit the guy.
Right.
Otherwise, we're just adding points. And he just couldn't.
The idea of the continuous, yeah.
Even in judo, they can pin someone. I think it's 25 seconds. I might be wrong. You hold someone down for 25 seconds, like a case of katami, katami position.
Yeah,
That's a common pin hold.
Okay.
And then they will try to submit you there too.
Right.
With Newaza,
but you'll win the match if you hold the
match
pin
is
for
over.
25 seconds.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Immobilization.
Okay, I got you.
If they get you in like a half guard, they'll stand you back up.
Okay. Yeah, I know there was like a few seconds you had to do to work ground game, but it was like very limited.
It's very limited, and it's all interpretation.
Okay, just whatever the ref decides is gonna fly today.
Yeah.
Yep.
I did a judo tournament, and you could tell there was a super vibe that they did not like the fact that I was a jiu-jitsu
black belt. Okay.
No, I wasn't a black belt, but
jiu-jitsu practitioner.
Just a jiu-jitsu guy.
Right.
They didn't care. So you got to do judo or jiu-jitsu in Brazil. Did you do jiu-jitsu in any other places?
Yeah, I've done it in all those countries except for Canada. So I've done it in Mexico. When I was out there, I was training with an alliance team. Mm-hmm. At the time, the guy that was running it was a purple belt. I think he's a brown belt now.
Oh, cool.
But I'm pretty sure he's is Alliance and Braza associated? Or is that my mistaken? I don't know. I know he has. I think Felipe Costa actually gave him his brown belt. So like Felipe, I think there's some sort of association there.
Yeah.
But I really like their technique. Actually, I like a lot of Alliance's like passing. They got a nice passing game. But then in Argentina, I trained at this gym called Fight Ready, and these guys were telling me this is supposedly the best gym in Buenos Aires, which is a huge city, like enormous. And those guys were really good. I don't remember what association.
But it was an MMA.
It was an MMA gym, but I was training jiu-jitsu, and I was just training jiu-jitsu. I wasn't doing striking there. Yeah. And then Colombia, I did again, just some random gym. I think it was like I think one day they had a black belt teaching, but otherwise it was usually purple and brown belts teaching, which was kind of surprising to me. You would think some of the countries in South America there would be more black belts because it's so close to Brazil, but I guess the Brazilians kind of skipped a lot of those middle countries and went straight to the U.S. because there's more money.
Yeah, it's just money. Like they could. Yeah, there's just they're like, well, why would we? Yeah, just America's where all the money's at.
Exactly. And then Brazil, I did.
Or Europe.
I was with Felipe Costa at his.
I love
Brazilian black belt is the name of the gym out there. Yep. But yeah, he was really good. His English is great, and his technique is very smooth because he's such a small guy. Yeah.
I always like training with small guys because their technique is always better. It just is. They don't have to. They can't rely on their strength.
Right.
It's not existing.
It doesn't exist. Yeah, totally.
and also their height, because jiu-jitsu is based on leverage. So, you have smaller limbs, you have less leverage.
You have to maximize their potential.
Maximize whatever leverage that you have.
Totally.
And so, and Kyle to me is like that too. Like every little grip is perfect. When I roll with or I've trained with bigger jiu-jitsu guys, they almost don't care. Their grips never
it's not as precise.
They're never precise with grips. Just grab towards the wrist.
Wherever you grab, you're not gonna be able to break your grip.
Kyle is never like that. He is like, there's a right way and there's a wrong way to grip.
Right.
And you are doing it wrong.
Okay.
But his proof is in the pudding with those guys that are really, really good, like Felipe Casa. So do you feel like that you were able to hang in those places?
Yeah, I felt really good. I felt solid. I tapped other purple belts when I was there. Maybe I got tapped by one or two black belts, but I actually didn't. I stayed alive against almost everybody there. Didn't get scored on too much. I felt pretty good. He even invited me to go to. They had like lightweight competition classes, like featherweight competition classes. So I did that maybe like 6 or 7 times, but it was just like positional sparring and drilling, and I felt good. Don't get me wrong. There's a few killers out there. I'm not saying I didn't get taps. There's some really good guys, but I felt.
Yeah, but man, it's hard.
I felt good. Like
traveling and competing in any sport is difficult.
Mm-hmm.
You know, in jiu-jitsu, and then the food is different.
Yeah.
You're sleeping different.
Totally.
Even the climate's different. The elevation might be different. Like everything to me affects me for sure.
Yeah.
Like, I remember training just even in California and Costa Mesa when I was training with Joe Moreira, like he had this big warehouse and like the weather would throw me off. Like it was cold.
Right.
We were training and the mat was freezing.
Yeah.
And you would fall on it and be like, it would hurt.
Painful, right?
Painful.
Yeah.
And then it was just the climate would throw me off.
That the Brazilian climate was messing with me because of how humid it was.
Yeah.
I'm already a sweaty guy in dry Arizona, let alone down there in the tropics. Like I was just, the second I take a shower, you leave the house and my shirt is already soaked from my own sweat. Yeah. And then the training, it was intense. Ridiculous. There wasn't really AC. There's just an open window. It was a second story kind of building. You had to go up the stairs, and it was hot. It was hot and sweaty.
That's how Belize, they had like a second story.
Okay.
They trained on the top and no heat, and they were doing mostly no gi. And then they were like, "We're gonna do gi." I'm like, "Oh, I didn't bring my gi."
Turns into a sweatsuit.
And he was like, "Oh no, I have a gi for you." And they even brought me a black belt too.
Oh,
And I was like,
wow.
"Oh crap,
That's
man!"
Pretty,
I don't know. I
wasn't looking forward to putting it on.
No,
Right?
I was like, I'm sweating standing here.
Yeah.
And they're like, "Nah, just get this gi on." And then same thing, they all want to kill you and all that kind of stuff.
Of course, yeah.
It was just, it was so hot. I was not prepared. I don't even know if they even had a fan there too.
Wow. Yeah, I think they did have a fan in Brazil at least. But yeah, one thing I did notice, I liked that it's like, because I was always kind of nervous. It's like, man, I'm going to Brazil. This is the Mecca. Like, I don't want to get killed. I feel embarrassed. But,
yeah, for sure.
But once you're in there and you're going, it's the same. The training methods are pretty much the same.
Yeah.
The wrestling is the same. It's all Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So once you're in the match, it's like, oh, I've been here thousands of times. This isn't scary or not. I know what to do here, basically.
Yeah. Side control is still side control.
Exactly.
Mount's
yeah.
still mount.
Mm-hmm.
Positions are still positions.
Totally. Yeah. And it was validating to know that I could hang with some of those.
Yeah,
I could hang with those guys.
I think that's part of the reason I want to go to Brazil and just to see if I can hang.
Totally, yeah.
When you went to the Kyle Terra camp with me, and my first year, I tell everyone like I try to roll. This is when Cashinho and Samir were still with CTA before they broke off, and Milton and. I try to roll with all those guys.
Right.
And they were all like, that time they were really young. They were like early 20s.
Okay.
And I think I was already 30 at the time. And I wanted to just see where I was at. And not that I thought I was going to beat them, but I was just getting murdered.
It's nice to get a reference point.
And then in that first day, I just wanted to take my black belt off.
Oh, no. Okay.
I was just like so bummed that I just couldn't hang. And then I think the second day, I just decided I'll roll with just the regular black belts there.
Not the high competitors.
Yeah, and they were black belts like my age. And then I killed all them.
That's good.
So I was like, okay. I'm not
somewhere in between world beater and average black belt.
I'm not elite, but I'm not like dirt bottom black belt.
Right.
I'm closer in the middle, and I was more okay with that.
Yeah, I'd be comfortable with that. That would be okay.
I'm a competitive person. I don't like losing. Period.
Mm-hmm.
Even if I'm lazy and I'm not training how I should, and I'm injured,
still
I
doesn't
still
feel
don't
good.
want to lose.
Yeah.
The excuses don't matter to me.
Of course.
I still hate losing. But I think after the second day, I was more comfortable with it, and then I think then it became a point where like, well, can I survive a little longer with these champions?
The big guys? Yeah.
I'm gonna tap, but can I get it? Can I get it closer to the end of the map before I tap? And can I tap maybe once, not 13 times?
Right. And that's that same thing you start with at the beginning of jiu-jitsu. Those small victories.
Yeah. And it's putting it into perspective in your head. What do you think? Where do you think you had the craziest experiences as far as countries wise?
As far as countries goes, let me think about. Let's see. Try to recall something specific here. I would say
You said in Colombia you like had a date with
I would
like
say,
a newscaster, right?
yeah, I would say probably.
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, sorry. I would say probably Colombia. Colombia was pretty interesting experience. Like walking around there, there's police. You said this was the same, I think, in Belize, Honduras, but there are armed
to the teeth.
like military officials, military personnel all over the streets, just with giant machine guns. And every day on the way, I'd go to the jiu-jitsu gym. I'd take like a bus, like 30 minutes, and I'd come back, and the same guards would search me every single day because I was just this random white guy with like sweaty with a big backpack on, full of gross clothes and stuff. They'd open it up and like.
Were they polite or were they very like stern?
They were very stern. They were they didn't ask me what I was doing or anything. They would just stop, let me look through your bag. Like they didn't tell me why they were doing it. They just, we're just gonna search you right now. But yeah, I did. So I was 21, I think, when I went to Colombia. And when I did that, that was my second kind of foray into an international travel. But this time I did it completely solo. So this was just me by myself. I don't know anybody in Colombia. Literally zero contacts.
But did you already go to Mexico?
I had already been in Mexico, so my Spanish was okay.
Pretty good.
It was pretty good.
You have good Spanish.
My Spanish is way better now.
Yeah.
I feel really good with Spanish now. At the time, this was 6 years ago, so I could converse, but I'm not as comfortable as I am now.
Yeah.
So I did. I was out there. I did end up getting a couple dates. I was playing the Tinder game, the online dating thing.
Oh, there?
Yes, yeah. Any single guys, if you go to a Latin country and hit Tinder, it's
your
pretty
money.
good.
Your money.
Yeah, I'm trying to find a way to say this, but it's
funny because
it's pretty high percentage.
I was on YouTube rabbit hole yesterday, and I saw Jim Jeffries, the comedian.
Yeah,
and he was
the guy's
talking
really funny.
to Bill Burr about it, and he was like, he was saying how when he came to America, he was a foreign exchange student from Australia. So he's an Australian accent, and he was like,
immediately
at 14 years old, he's like, I barely kissed any girls ever. When I came here, I won't say what he said, but he hooked up like 4 times. He's like, it was so easy.
It was like turning a faucet on, basically.
He's like. Yeah, it's just you're different, and like that's exciting for ladies.
Yes, totally, and that was really, for me, that was really exciting as a young kid because it's basically the exact same boat. I was in high school. I had friends, but most of my friends were like older friends, and I hung out with them outside of school. In school, I was just a kid that fought all the time. I'd come in with black eyes, and I wouldn't really talk. Really? I wouldn't really talk to people. I was doing kickboxing and jiu-jitsu all through high school, so I would come in just beat up.
Fight?
No. I maybe a couple, but I would come in all like beat up. I would just come in exhausted and beat up and sleeping and not really talking to people. So I wasn't dating a lot of girls or anything. Yep. But yeah, you go to a foreign country and things change.
Nice.
Especially if you speak a little bit of Spanish, and it was fun. Like it was a confidence builder for me. Like it allowed me to kind of calm down a little bit and realize that romance isn't so terrifying, bonita. Right?
Tu hojas es bonita.
The funny thing is that you can say that in Spanish. You can like say other ridiculous, like over the top compliments,
that's
and they
normal.
love it. They love it. Yeah.
I had a Spanish teacher that was like I remember we had a Spanish teacher in high school, which was terrible because she was Cuban Spanish.
Yeah.
But she was talking about like, where she came. I think she was at Florida State. She grew up to, and she was like serenading is like normal. Like
right.
He's gonna just serenade.
You're expected to do it.
Yes, you're expected to do that. Like
you're being cold if you're not doing that. I've experienced that. Like
or like you're not a man. Like you ain't a man if you're not commenting on a woman and pronouncing how beautiful she is
totally.
and radiant
like this is a
and
Shakespeare poem.
Yes, it's not like oh yeah you're nice. No, it's like no you're the most beautifulest thing I've ever seen.
Yes,
and that's like normal.
Yeah, no.
Here it's like you're creep.
Yeah, you're a psycho if you do that.
Scumbag, creepy.
You're gonna be stalking me. Yeah, I gotta block your number or something.
That almost seems easier.
Yeah, totally. But yeah, so that at this time in Colombia, so this is my first solo foray, and I'd say I don't think I took the most advantage of it, but I did have that one funny date. That was like not the craziest story, but it was a funny story. Is I went out with this girl I met through Tinder, and she was worked for some like local like news company. The prettiest woman I've ever gone out with in my entire life. She was super sweet and nice, but she was like hot. Like
for lack to find
we might have to
a picture of this lady.
Yeah, and post it up real quick.
And then we'll put this in the interview. We'll edit it.
Yeah, of course. So I meet this girl, and like I said, my Spanish wasn't so good at this time. We meet up. I'm just shocked that this person's here. I'm not just being kidnapped because this is like such an easy way to bait a 20-year-old kid in.
Easily.
20-year-old American guy. Oh yeah, come go out with me. I'll meet you in this dark alley. But so we meet at the train station. We walk downstairs and we get a taxi. Get into the taxi, and I hear the driver. I close the door. I hear the driver say something about closing the door. I hear "cerrar la puerta," but he said something before in my Spanish. It was like "cerrar la puerta."
Yep.
And I was thinking he was telling me that I needed to close the door harder, and of course it was the opposite. I closed it too hard, so I open it and I slam it harder than I closed it before. When in reality, he told me not to close it so hard. So he gets super mad and kicks us out immediately. This is the first 3 minutes of the date. This girl that I just meet, and basically that set the tone for the rest of the night. I wasn't following.
So I no comprende.
Yeah, we said I'm sorry, and she explained to him, but he said he didn't care. He just get out of my car. So the rest of the night, basically, it was just one day. My Spanish wasn't good enough at the time. She was speaking to me in accents, but in Spanish, and it's I don't know what you're saying to me. I can't follow this. It was
There's a lot of regional accents in Colombia too.
Yeah. There's definitely regional ones, and she was doing Latin American accents. She's giving Spanish accents, Brazil, Argentinian accents. She was, because she was a newscaster, so she was in theater and stuff, so she knew how to do all that stuff. But it didn't make. The joke was lost on me because I didn't really even know what she was saying, let alone deciphering the accents.
She's trying to be funny, and we're like,
yeah. So that's not the craziest story, but that was just a funny date story in Colombia.
Do you remember her name?
Natalia Rios.
Even that sounds
super.
Yeah,
I will say
Natalia. I mean,
probably the coolest thing, foreign country wise, or maybe not the coolest thing, but the most interesting would be Mexico. Me and my buddy were down in the same buddy I went with originally. We were in Cancun, the Tulum area, and we were kind of doing the same thing. We were camping out there. But it was the wrong time of year, and it started pouring. It was tropical rains. Walking on the streets, you were basically knee deep in water.
Oh wow!
And we were looking for a place to stay, and some random guys call us down. All the hostels were full. There were literally people sleeping in their tents on the ground in the lobbies of the hostels. They were full. They literally could not take anybody else. And some random guy oh yeah, come on, we can help you out. We were talking to him for a second. He's we got a spot we can show you. And we go into this. I don't even know how we agreed to go in with this guy, but we walked into this almost seemingly abandoned building where we had to open a lock and open a gate, and into this dank, musty, dark building that was definitely parts of the roof were not there anymore. We walked in. There's literally bats flying inside of this building, and there was one.
Spidey sense go off your hairs on my neck.
Yes,
oh,
totally. Not even kidding you. There was one man in this random room. I don't know, in a foldable chair. I don't know why he was in there, staring at a TV screen that was just super low resolution, just whatever local Mexican country. And he was just we just saw him alone in this dark building, in this room, just watching TV by himself in this foldable chair. He's oh yeah, you guys could stay here. We'll charge you the same as the hostel, not a big deal. We're no, we're okay. We ended up we ended up sleeping underneath a Ramada outside of a grocery store. It was just random ass spot. But yeah, that was a funny experience. In Mexico, not actually, not at all. Which was surprising to me, because you would think. I lied. Once in Cancun, we were sitting outside of a hostel, and we were my buddy had a beer, and you're not supposed to drink outside of the on the streets there, and the police were kind of started talking to us, and we're basically somebody told us later they're trying to take a bribe. This is the time my Spanish wasn't as good, and there was one guy that was kind of helping us out, but they were basically trying to take my buddy in because of the alcohol, because of the beer that he had. But the other guy kind of negated the situation. Everything was okay. But other than that, I've never been harassed at all in Mexico. I don't know if it's just because they want to maintain the tourism. Yeah, I think they don't harass you maybe as much.
That's their bread and butter, man.
Yeah,
you don't.
Exactly.
You shut that down, and then people aren't going to go there.
I've been harassed way more traveling in the U.S. than anywhere else by police.
Oh yeah. Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
That's actually kind of weird. Me too.
Yeah. It's more of I guess there's that huge kind of prison industry going on here. I don't know.
For sure. I remember when we were in Honduras with Peter, Peter.
Yeah.
And we go at like this checkpoint before, like, because he was like deep in the jungle.
Okay.
Belfonte is like not near anything.
Right.
And Honduras alone is pretty sparse. There's like 5 major cities. And
Okay.
then when they're major, they're like in the hundreds of thousands, not in the million. Like, I don't even know if they have any cities in the millions. Actually, I'm not sure they have any.
Wow. Okay.
So like the town was tiny, and then there's like a police checkpoint, and the guy had like a old ass rusted revolver.
Oh wow.
So it only has 6 shots in it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if the cylinder would turn.
Right.
And he was like, they just kind of look at you, and I think they even knew Peter.
Okay.
Peter knows everybody.
Of course, yeah.
And he sticks out like a thumb in
Yeah,
Honduras, man.
yeah.
Like, there's nobody that looks like Honduras.
I'm sure.
Peter in Honduras. Just doesn't. And Peter's like, well, that's the last police we'll see. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, yeah, there's just no police after that.
Just
like, there's just none.
Wild West
It's
beyond there.
it is
Yeah.
the Wild West. It's Wild West. Like,
yeah.
whatever happens.
Wow. Okay.
So there's a lot of like revenge killings too because of that, because there isn't police.
There's nobody's gonna do anything about it.
Yeah, they're
basically.
just like, well, you stole our whatever, we're gonna kill you.
Did you end up having any shady experiences when you were out there?
No,
Okay.
no, that was it. Peter pointed out some things. There was a assassin that they all knew that lived in the town, and Peter knows that he killed another guy, and he would tell me stories, but I never
Interacted with him.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Okay.
No, and and then the other scary story was like there's a guy that Peter. I want to actually get him on here and tell the story of this schizophrenic dude.
Oh, really?
And Peter, so when we picked up kids to go to the training at night, it was at night and it was dark. And then again, like I said, we're in the middle of the jungle. There's no lights.
Right.
There would be these like little pocket of like with like one light bulb for the whole street.
Wow.
And there's this dude, and we're picking up in the truck, and we're driving down. We had to go through this like little river, and the guy's with his machete walking around, and he's walking like all weird, like he's on drugs,
like drunk or something.
But he's not on drugs. He's schizophrenic.
Oh,
and
even scarier almost.
So Peter would tackle him and get him a needle and hit him with like some kind of antipsychotic drugs.
Are you
drugs.
serious?
And he'd have to do this, I think, once a week or every other week.
Whoa.
And he walks around with a freaking machete. And if you know anything about schizophrenics, they think that everyone's out to get them, and that they hear voices that you should kill people, and they see crazy things. And he said one time he went to this guy's house, and it was like, I think there was like poop on the walls.
No
and like
way.
he was drawing with it, and like blood, and like
wow.
And the guy's just
like a True Detective scene.
Yeah, there were people in the town, he said, that wanted to kill him because he was just too dangerous. He would attack kids sometimes.
No way. Okay.
I don't think he killed anyone yet, but he hurt some people. And
yeah,
again,
he's actually psychotic.
Everyone's walking around with machetes, so that
it's just commonplace.
Made me a little bit nervous. Because
of course.
If you get angry, like you just might.
You have a sword on your hand,
and
basically.
He told me a lot of times, people would have wounds. They put their arm up and they get.
My goodness!
Chunk taken out in the arm.
Yeah.
So, but I felt fairly safe.
That's
honestly,
good. Yeah.
When I was there, when we were in the big city of La Ceiba, it seemed like a Indiana Jones movie. Just hustle and bustle of like just crazy randomness everywhere. Like cars not really obeying any kind of laws at all. There's no stoplights at all. It's every stop signs, but
just drive.
That's like a suggestion, not like.
Yeah, nobody's gonna
really
pull you over for not following it.
Nobody really altos there. They just kind of like slow.
Look around real quick.
Poquito espacio, and then or like I saw people driving backwards and stuff. Like,
oh my gosh, it's crazy.
Or driving over the sidewalks, like someone stopped, like, let's go over the sidewalk.
Right.
It's just, so I was like more. That was, I think, the most nervous is when I first got off the boat.
Okay.
In La Ceiba, and then I had to wait to get picked up by Peter, and I'm all by myself, and I realized like my Spanish isn't that good either. Like kind of like you said, and I'm like, and I don't know how to get a hold of my phone. Doesn't really work here. I don't know how to get a hold of Peter if
something goes wrong or
like he got a flat or like couldn't make it today. I wouldn't know where to even stay. I wouldn't know nothing.
Totally, yeah.
I had nothing. I had a camping backpack, but just had clothes in it. You know, it had nothing else than that.
Right.
And I was carrying like a paddle that he wanted.
Okay.
So I brought a paddle from the United States, like this paddle board.
Right.
Paddle.
Right.
So I had like this paddle that I was using as like a
Just this
cane.
random white dude with the giant
I
oar,
looked
basically.
like a total. I stood out.
Yeah, I'm sure.
You know, I saw no other white people there at all.
Yeah.
I don't know. But nothing happened.
That's good, yeah. But I
safe
think
and-
that's a common feeling, though, that kind of initial disorientation, especially coming from a place like this where the streets are super wide. People drive really logically, and
Yeah, and the burning trash. So you smell burnt trash constantly, and it's like burnt plastic, and you're like, this is so toxic. Like it felt
yes,
toxic.
totally. I'm sure.
Like I don't know, people are just breathing this in all day long, just
not thinking twice about it.
not thinking twice about burn.
Yeah.
And you could see like just smoke everywhere. you
Wow.
know, from the city itself, and it's just a strange place, man. And then before I went, I found out like that it was the murder capital of the world. Honduras and El Salvador kind of go back and forth for the murder capital. And I know the Guatemala now is really bad too.
Oh, is it? Okay.
But those two places are really,
Yeah, I remember.
really,
I think I
really
remember
bad.
you saying that before you left.
Yeah, there was like more murders in Honduras than in Iraq.
Oh my god.
Which is hilarious because when you watch the news, at the time we were still kind of in Iraq, or we're still there now, but it's not even on the news, which is ridiculous.
No,
anymore.
not at all. Yeah.
But you know, they would show the soldiers being killed, and then we were killing tons of people there too.
Yeah.
But it wasn't even this close to the numbers in Honduras,
meanwhile,
which is like right below us.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It is crazy. Do you want to? We've been talking for a long time. Do you want to maybe close it out with some beats or something? Or?
Yeah, sure. So I don't have like a set necessarily set up, but I do have a few just kind of like loops loaded on here. I was actually grabbing the mic. Yeah, I just figured I'd play a few of them. I didn't know if you wanted to like switch up your music ever at all. I just give you a few other options that you could check out.
Still figuring all this out, what I'm doing.
So I'll say for this, so for like beats is something I've dived into. I've been doing it for a long time, but I've been trying to understand a little bit better because I was started with the rapping, but I was still kind of fascinated by the actual musicality. When I was younger, I still didn't really understand what a song actually consisted of. Like I'm hearing these chords and these notes and these rhythms and stuff, but where does that come from? Like it was still kind of a mystery to me. So that's what I've been trying to, the last 5 years or so, trying to kind of study music theory and learn how to put together beats.
You've been playing guitar too lately.
Yes, yeah.
For a while, for
pretty long time actually. Yeah, I'm not.
but like
I'm not the most
guitar, right?
I like to do a lot of finger style.
Yeah, that's way harder.
It's fun. It's but I wouldn't say that I'm the most disciplined practitioner. Definitely not the most disciplined practitioner. But it's just it's like all art is something you do for the sake of itself. It's fun for me to decipher the puzzle. I understand like, okay, a song is made up of chords. Usually chords come from a key. You kind of have a progression where it starts in one place and it ultimately resolves back to the initial chord, and you have to figure out you write melodies that kind of follow the movements of the chords and stuff. It's just something that's kind of fascinating to me. I don't have any anticipation of playing concerts or anything like that.
Yeah.
Maybe if I'm an old guy, playing at a coffee shop would be kind of fun.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean,
but yeah,
it's fun.
Yeah, and I try to kind of translate that into the beats. So I'm using that as like a medium for me to understand music theory. So you kind of need studying music theory is a lot easier when you actually have an instrument that you're applying the theory to.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like it's a playground for me. I have I know enough chords where I can put things together just based upon ideas versus having to go by the sound, because I didn't start playing when I was really young. I don't have the best ear. Like I wouldn't just say, okay, I don't know what to play, but this sounds good. You know, I kind of have to know what I'm playing and why I'm playing it.
There's a lot of good musicians that don't have great ears.
Right.
Honestly, like, you know, I think that takes time and I think gifted also, and then some people just I don't think ever get great ear.
Right. Totally.
You know, do you ever record guitar and then mix that into beats
Yes,
too?
totally. So there's a couple of here where it's just like sometimes I sample, a lot of times I just write everything myself. So sometimes when you get the sample, what I'm trying to do is recognize what the notes are and recognize the chord progression that's in the sample, and then I basically that's one element of the song, and I create the rest of the songs.
What is this machine?
So this is a Roland SP404. This is mostly I use this for effects. I actually use something called an MPC 1000. These are both really old machines, like from the early 2000s, late 90s. Basically it's a sequencer and a drum machine, and what that means is that I have instruments, a variety of instruments and sounds on here, and this allows me to basically what's the word I'm looking for? To compose the sounds together. So basically, this is just a medium for me to put everything together.
Cool.
I kind of find my own sounds, and then those sounds I turn into a beat. But so here's a couple of them.
Yeah,
I'll do like just little like loose intros and stuff on them. This first one's sample based. So.
That's cool.
I'm not very good at all the transitions and stuff, but there's a couple random ones. Like here's one I wrote. I wrote the guitar, the bass, everything to it. There's no samples. That last one was a sample.
Have you ever heard of the band G Love?
No.
Kind of reminds me of G Love.
Oh, kind of similar to that.
Yeah, I like G Love a lot, actually. Kind of a lame name. I don't like his name. G Love is like
G Love, yeah. Is he a rapper or something, or?
He's this white guy that does like rap, but he plays guitar. Like he has like a bunch of different albums. He's like a blues album, but he usually will rap on it too.
Okay.
I'll let you listen to it later.
Okay. I don't know if you want to do.
I don't want to get sued if I
one
play it on
more.
here.
Let's see. Here's a little. I don't know. So this is one I wrote too. It's like guitar, a Rhodes piano, added like a drum break to it and some bass and a little.
So you have a piano too?
Yeah. I can play a couple songs, but mostly it's just I know how to compose chords, so I'm not necessarily the best playing, but I know how to assemble the parts of the theory. So I'm trying to get better at kind of like,
this one a lot.
arranging the samples and like slowly build things up. This one's unfortunately missing the best melody, but I still have a couple other parts I just forgot to record. But there's a couple switches in here. There's like a little like different elements slowly arise. Oh, I messed that up. There's a couple. Like I said, I'm not the best beat maker, but it's a fun thing. It's just something that's fun for me.
Yeah,
I
I like
appreciate
it.
you letting me like showcase it. You know,
For
it's all
super
simple
cool.
stuff.
I didn't know
it's
you were
like,
gonna bring your whatever that is.
I thought it'd be cool to add another element to it.
Yeah, it's cool. Next time I'll bring you in. You have to bring a guitar too.
Okay, yeah, that'd be cool. I could play one song on there. You're gonna have a lot of listeners that are like, oh, I'm way better than he is, but it's still fun to
But
showcase.
That's, that's I don't know. That's the internet.
Yeah, totally.
You know, like the Beatles I think are the best band ever, and I have one friend that like it's like the Beatles are terrible. They're awful. I'm like, I don't think you know what music. I don't think you understand music.
No, Beatles are literally one of the best bands ever. Yeah, just in their songwriting is like otherworldly. Like to this day,
everything.
Countless songs are borrowing the ideas that they originally came up with. Yeah,
even 4-track recording. The way that they record is just revolutionary.
That's crazy.
The instruments that they use, everyone wrote, everyone sang, everyone went on and created their own music afterwards too. Like how many bands can you say that broke up and everyone had hit records?
Yeah, everybody still knew how to compose high quality music.
Not doesn't exist.
Right.
And they have so many different variations of music too. Like their albums are so varied, and they have songs of they have like reggae songs. They have heavy metal. They have heavy metal songs.
I haven't heard Beatles heavy metal songs.
Glass Onion is like a heavy metal song, man.
Okay.
Like for sure, it's not like screamo or the singing isn't, but the heavy riffs are super heavy.
Right.
And I don't know. They're just very varied music, and
I believe that.
People tell me and people will crap on them. Like, no, people will crap on anything.
Yeah.
My point is, people will crap on anything.
On anything, yeah. Especially with the Beatles, if somebody's saying that, they clearly don't know what they're talking about. It's not an opinion you necessarily need to take seriously.
Yeah, I mean,
it's like almost undeniable how good they are.
For sure. I'm a religious guy, and so I believe that Christ was an actual human and stuff. But like, even if you read the Bible, like nothing his parts that he says in the Bible should offend anybody.
Right. Yeah.
Literally, he doesn't say anything that like offends anybody.
Right.
They killed that dude. They put him on a cross. Not just killed him. They hung him on a cross.
Tortured him.
They tortured him and killed him. So like, this is humanity, man. Like people will talk shit.
Always
about
criticize. Exactly.
I try not to give a crap about it.
Right.
I have another my friend that does the Bogcast. He was telling me like he said I knew that it's kind of a success when I read comments and people are talking trash in comments. Then like enough people are looking at you that there's enough people that are also trash. That
are also doing the opposite. Yeah. Because no matter what, you're not going to have 100% positive, 100% negative feedback. There's always people that are going to be biting at you.
Yeah, I mean people talk trash about our school strongly too. Like whatever, man. Like I don't care.
Yeah.
I think we're good, and I have good people, and that's all I give a crap about. Like the rest.
Right.
What else is there?
Yeah, ultimately, if you have enough confidence in yourself and what you're doing, then you can't be dragged down by other people's opinions.
Yeah,
or even feel that their opinions are necessarily valid.
They don't matter. You know, like the older I get, that might be just a thing of age. The less I care. Every once in a while, someone will bring somebody up and it like gets me going.
Right.
But then like very quickly I go, what do I care? That person doesn't matter.
Right.
we're like super successful. Like what do I care about this whiny person that is not successful at all? Their opinions aren't valid to me.
Right.
If someone with weight, attacks you, that's different.
Then you take it more seriously,
like
of course.
Kyle said something bad about me. I'm like, oh man, that would bum me out.
Right, right.
But like, a nobody is a nobody.
Right, it doesn't mean.
And most of the people that are trolls
are nobodies. Yeah.
Who cares?
Definitely, because most people, if you're actually working towards something, you're not taking the time to criticize somebody else. And if you've ever just honestly tried something that you're not good at, you have empathy for somebody who's still improving. You're not going to criticize them. You're going to say like, "Good job for trying." Like,
for sure,
there's good elements. Keep it up.
One of my favorite sayings is like, the guy running a 20-minute mile is still faster than the guy on the couch.
100%.
And the guy on the couch is riding, "Fuck, you're so slow. You suck. You're so fat and shit." Meanwhile, they're on the couch. You know what I mean? Like, come on.
Yeah, totally.
You're still doing laps around the guy on the couch.
Right.
And progress is progress. And try not to just think about any of those people.
Yeah, exactly.
They're not valid.
Totally. I just end up being my own greatest critic a lot of times. You gotta like trying to teach myself with like a little more compassion.
Yeah,
it's
I think
like
most artistic people are. I mean,
yeah.
When I used to draw, I took classes in college and high school, and I went to GCC, which was a weird experience because I was like 15, and everyone there was like
classes,
and it's community college, so everyone's like 30, 40,
yeah.
and it was an art class, so it was even like crazier, hippier
Yes, of
people.
course.
You know, the teacher would take. It was a 3-hour class. The teacher would take a break to smoke cloves. Do you remember
Wow.
clove
cigarettes. Yeah.
You'd be smoking these like rolled, like no filter things.
Yeah.
And it was really hard for me because that was the first time that I got critiqued. So we
Oh.
would make art, and then all of us would sit around and like basically just dump on it.
Right.
And I was like, fuck you guys. Like, I was like, in my mind, I was like, you're old and you're stupid.
Yeah,
and like,
just attacking them personally.
yeah, because they didn't like my thing. Or whatever,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
But again, I was 15.
That's
and
natural for a kid to do.
And
Yeah.
I didn't say it verbally, but in my mind, to make me feel better, I would attack them in my mind.
Yeah.
Because they didn't like the way I drew this candle or whatever.
Right.
But it's just the way it
That's
is,
a natural reaction for a young
But
kid.
critiquing,
Yeah.
like, it's the first time I learned what critiquing is. That critiquing is like a part of art, and like it's just part of art. And,
Right.
And I'm like, oh man, like people just ripping on you, part of art. What is that? And it was really hard for me, like, to just take it on the
Right.
chin.
Yeah.
You're supposed to just sit there too, and like say nothing.
Not defend
And-
yourself.
And literally,
just smile,
everyone
nod,
in
yeah.
the class just goes around like just talking shit about your thing.
Wow.
Like, so you just like,
not the best confidence building exercise,
no,
but
it's not. You know, and I don't even know what it was for.
I feel like maybe just the teacher would be
The
enough.
teacher
like,
should be enough. Like,
yeah.
oh, the composition's off. You know, like your foreground's weird, and
Yeah, and then you have
there's no
specific
perspective
things you can
here,
improve
and-
upon.
yeah, and valid critiques, but these were also people that were terrible, in my
Right.
opinion too. And I saw theirs, I was like, oh, it's just terrible looking to me.
Yeah,
So I was like, you're critiquing me? You're terrible.
right.
I don't know. This is the way it is. I think we talked so long that we're probably going to run out of
Okay, no
filming.
problem.
So we'll just have you back.
Okay,
some
sounds
other
good.
time. Where are you going to go to next, Japan?
So yeah, I was actually thinking of beginning of next year. I'm gonna do Thailand and Japan. That's my goal. Is maybe around February,
Perfect.
March, and
So
then
we'll bring you back in April,
okay,
and then we'll just talk about
That
Thailand
sounds good to me.
In Thailand, and then maybe have more beats and guitar. And
yeah, sounds good.
that'd be
Yeah, thanks
awesome.
for having me on. I
Yeah, man.
appreciate it. This is a lot of fun. I've never done a podcast before, but it's
I've been trying to just grab people that I find interesting. So, a lot of people are like, "Oh, you're gonna talk about jiu-jitsu," and we talked about jiu-jitsu today. But like, my goal was just to talk about things that I find interesting and people I find interesting,
Right.
and varied subjects. Like so far, I don't think I've had anyone that was the same type of person or whatever. So. That's the goal, and I was thinking, I was like, Shea's pretty freaking interesting guy. Like he's done a lot of cool stuff, like
Well,
we could totally talk about it. And I'm using his music on the
right.
podcast. So
Well, I appreciate it.
I always
It's
wondered,
fun.
people like wondered, where the music came from. I mean, I have at the it says like thanks to Mothman, but it doesn't really
Right.
say Shea.
Right.
This is Shea's man.
It's a face to the music.
Yeah, he makes the music. It's pretty cool if you like it. Check him out on SoundCloud. Right?
I probably YouTube the Mothman on YouTube. You can find it. Yeah.
Mothman.
Maybe I'll send you a link or something. Post it on it underneath the video.
Cool.
But yeah, thanks
All right.
thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. It's a lot of fun.
Presented with a fork before unclear options, typically descriptive of a lot of life's problems. Individual, no single way to solve them, and one bad stop could make your whole trip rotten. But I have confidence that we could overcome that and probably